I'll flash it out straight after. Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's 2-2 draw in the Merseyside derby on Saturday afternoon against Liverpool. Not a lot to talk about really. 4 goals, but nothing else really happened, did it? No money messing. There was lots and lots that happened on Saturday afternoon and lots to talk about. It was, by all accounts, a proper Merseyside derby. The type of Merseyside derby that we've seen over the years. The type of Merseyside derby that we haven't seen in recent times. Actually, there's been a lot of 0-0s or, boring games where not much has happened. This was packed full of everything that a derby should be. Tackles, decisions, controversy, goals, poor defending, good attacking from both sides. So we're going to delve into it and talk about it today. We'll obviously try and keep some structure because I'm aware that a lot happened in the game, so it will be quite easy for us to go off and talk about various situations for a long time without sort of maintaining the game itself. But it was mad, wasn't it? Tom, joined by Tom T Logic as per usual. Don't forget to check out Tom in the description. Big thanks to Tom for joining us. It was a proper Merseyside derby. I've just been speaking about it off camera. I said the only thing that sort of separates it from those type of derbies we've seen over the years is that there's now social media and the discussions and conversations can go on for days and days afterwards, and they're still going on today regarding certain situations. But obviously Everton go behind twice in the game, started really poorly. Liverpool come out flying, which was always the worry, I think. Certainly with their last performance and their last defeat, I think any Evertonian that thought Liverpool were going to come out with their heads low and their tails behind, between the legs was just wishful thinking. They were always going to fly out quickly. They were always going to want to make an impression. So obviously, like I said, a lot happened. It was a full packed game of football. So how did you feel at 90 minutes? How did you feel at full time? Obviously, after, in the 93rd minute, it looked like we were almost certainly going to lose that game. Was it relief? Did you think we played well? Did you think we should have done better? What was your overall feeling at the end of the game, obviously, when the final whistle was blown?
Yeah, my overall thing was I needed to go lie down and put a wet flannel over my head and just calm down after it. It was crazy, wasn't it? I mean, Liverpool started as they should do, really. I thought they were very, very, very good. I mean, they took us very, surprised. I thought they were really, Klopp's got right into them, hasn't he? Since the 7-2, you could tell that. I thought, and then the whole situation happened with Pickford and that, and then I thought we just didn't get a foothold into the game, really, that I wanted us to do. We didn't. I think it was probably, for the season so far, it was probably the worst performance I've seen from Everton. I mean, I expected high expectations, obviously, from the last 4 games. I hope that they could at least sort of do what they did to Tottenham, which I presume they would do. But I think, retrospectively, you look at the game, I thought we've had players very tired from international duty. Our main players really coming away from South America. Then you've got the other main lads that we had coming from injuries. So I thought they had a little advantage when you look at it from that point of view. We had Mane, Salah getting left at Melwood, you had Henderson left at middle, and I thought them 3 were pretty much the main factors in how they performed, really. But so overall, you take it, don't you? We thought you'd have the big thing of they're going to absolutely batter these here in the 10 years of hate, supposedly. But yeah, I thought overall I was happy with the draw.
Yeah, that's it. I think when you watch the game, I think I said it in my instant match reaction, for me it was the most stressed I've been watching a Merseyside derby for a long, long time, and that was because it was packed full of everything. But if you'd have said to me on 92 minutes when Henderson puts that ball in the back of the net, would you take a 2-2 here and this get ruled out? I'd have absolutely snatched your hand off for it, obviously. I don't know. Listen, I think I don't know whether it's just me and having high expectations. I was a little bit disappointed with the way in which we performed. I agree with you. I think I sort of expected us to go out and get at them and do a little bit what we done to Tottenham. But we were coming up against a Liverpool team that not only are very, very good and are current champions, but are also, again, coming off the back of a defeat. And a lot of Evertonians thought that would work in our favour. And on another day, it might have worked in our favour. But they were always going to fly out, like you said. Jurgen Klopp had very, very clearly sat them all down or messaged them all or had some form of meeting where he said, listen, this doesn't happen again. You don't go out and perform like that again. You've embarrassed everyone at the club. And they come out absolutely flying straight away, straight off the mark. And we just looked like we couldn't deal with it, which was really surprising because for the entirety of the season, even when we've been posed with teams that want to come out and want to fly at us, we've looked composed in the middle, we've looked comfortable, we've looked calm. And I think the midfield on Saturday, certainly in the first half, just massively struggled. We looked off the pace. And, you know, I think that was down to the likes of Alan coming back from an injury and obviously, you know, having been injured in the previous game against Brighton. The likes of James Rodriguez and Richarlison coming back from South America. You know, obviously Andre Gomez coming back from an injury as well. For me, it just felt, certainly in them opening 2 minutes, as soon as in the first 30 seconds, I sat back and I thought, this is going to be a long, long day, this is going to be a long afternoon. And it was, but like you said, you know, you sort of have to take the draw, certainly with what happened towards the back end of the game, but I did expect Everton to perform in a better fashion. I thought we allowed them too much time and too much respect on the ball, which is, again, that might be my expectation. Look, this was coming from a lad who woke up this morning and on his way to work, checked the Premier League table and was fuming that we had one next to the draws, because I've just been so used to waking up every morning and going, there you go, 4-0 or 3-0, and now we're seeing 4-1. I was like, oh my God, we've drawn a game, what's going on? So maybe my expectation was just far too high, but ultimately coming back twice, showing that mentality to come back twice, not let our heads drop, not just think, oh, we're going to get absolutely tossed here in the first 10 minutes when it looked like the game had gone to dross. Picking ourselves back up and getting at them just shows the difference in mentality, and we did match them and we had chances in the game to win. Richarlison puts that header in which he hits the post at 1-1, and it's 2-1 to us, and it's a different situation, it's a different scenario. The momentum flips. Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets his foot on that ball that comes across from Luca Dean, and it's the same, it's a different scenario. But like you mentioned there, Liverpool come out very, very strong. They hit us quickly. We could tell that they'd had a little bit of a bollocking and they wanted to make it right. We didn't look like we could put up with that. We didn't look like we could cope with that in the midfield. And within 2 minutes, they go 1-0 up. A little bit of play down that left-hand side. I actually think it's quite lucky from Robinson. I think he knocks it into Seamus Coleman and it bounces off Seamus. It's good play, don't get me wrong.
No, it was very good play. I thought that was the weak link before the game started, really. I've always mentioned about James is brilliant going forward. He's just a bit of a liability that going defensively. So I think they targeted that, and I think they knew, listen, it's football at the end of the day and it's ruthless, innit? They've targeted Coleman because he's had an injury of the hamstring, and they've obviously said just get at him. Yeah. And listen, in the end, it has prevailed because he had to go off, didn't he? And I thought for all expectations went out the window in the first 5 minutes because we could really have been 2-0 down with 10 men, and you're looking thinking, oh God, this could be high numbers the way they thought their attitude was. So yeah, I mean, I thought on the overall balance of the game, I thought it was fair that we did get a draw. I mean, the way we started, I thought we were dead lethargic in midfield. I thought Allen's passing and Decore's was very off. I mean, you get onto Gomez, I think we're gonna he's gonna be a serious issue for me going forward. I mean, yeah, you can all say about like what he's done at Valencia. He was at Barcelona, but he's shown absolutely nothing to me at the course of his whole Everton career. Maybe you could give him. He was all right in a Merseyside derby, but he also missed a 1 yard sitter, in my opinion. He done a 20-minute cameo against Arsenal where we were 1-0 down and played well. I can't think of anything else really as what he's done. His whole overall role in the side is to advance the team and get the team up the pitch and give Dom some help up top. Because when you look at what Dom was doing, he was quite isolated really. There was no one really from midfield breaking forward. You've got Decore sort of covering James on the right hand side, and you've got Allen sitting. So you're looking to Gomez to drag us off the pitch, and he's got no pace. He can't pull away from players. The only good thing about him is he's quite press resistant. So when you're pressing him, he's very hard to get the ball off. But those his passing was horrendous.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Under no pressure really. So I thought he was the biggest, weakest link for us, and we just couldn't get going from his point. I mean, you look back, I thought James was a bit off the pace.
Yeah.
The ball that he could have sent through to Richarlison in the first half, I thought that was just not up to his standard, was it? Yeah, he sort of went inside foot. I thought he could have sort of got his foot whipped round it from the outside. But listen, first half, I thought to come out of it, they were 1-1. I was happy with it. So I thought we could start pressing. You got to the second half, and in the first maybe 10-15 minutes, we really put a stamp on the game. I thought we were starting to take over, and I think we were a lot more clinical than they were. I thought we made the better chances. I thought when you're looking at it, I thought Tom could have really put us away with it. But he sort of side-footed it, didn't he? And
just didn't get his foot wrapped around it, did he?
Yeah, I was hoping that he'd just any part of his foot. I thought he was trying to be a little bit too clever.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
He sort of opened his body, and when you do that with a ball coming flying across, 9 times out of 10 you can't get a connection. Yeah. I just thought if he could have got any connection on it whatsoever going towards the goal, I thought he'd have scored. Yeah. Because their keeper was awful.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, they're talking about keeper, but their keeper practically walked in the ball from our corner, from Michael Keane's. You know what though? Just dead quick on Michael Keane was brilliant again.
Exceptional. Absolutely.
He was my man of the match there. I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. No, I agree. Spot on.
Yeah, his confidence and his whole aura has changed. I think he believes he's a top Premier League centre half, and I think he's showing it. Yeah. And I think where you're gonna go on to Godfrey and things like that, if you get legs out of Michael Keane, I think he's going to be very, very good for us.
Yeah, no, I agree, spot on. I think I mentioned it in the instant match reaction. You know, Michael Keane's the only Everton player to have played 90 minutes in every game this season, and he hasn't I don't think he's played a bad minute. He has been absolutely exceptional for the entire season. Again, another goal he got involved with on Saturday, but his defensive work was fantastic, and, you know, he had Yerry Mina next to him, who I thought struggled, certainly with Liverpool's second goal. He didn't cover himself in any glory, but Michael Keane still seems to come out and put in, you know, a brilliant performance week in, week out. And you're right, we improved in the second half. We come out a little bit, you know, we started to put our foot on the ball. I thought Allen improved in the second half. I thought Abdoulaye Doucouré improved. Gomez was poor throughout the game. But, you know, you're right, that first 20 minutes was a massive wake-up call, I think, to a lot of Evertonians, because it showed us that we can still sort of put in a not so good performance. As good as we've been so far this season, as consistent as we've been, we were getting overrun quite, you know, a lot in that first opening 15-20 minutes, and we could have been 2-0 down with 10 men, and at that point I think no matter how much resilience and agency you've got, I think we'd have been completely against it at that point. And, you know, obviously like we mentioned before, we go 1-0 down, Mane gets the goal. I think it's a well worked goal, don't get me wrong, don't blame Jordan Pickford for it. Could it have been defended against a little bit better? Potentially. But I just think we weren't awake. I think we've been guilty of this a couple of times. Usually it's in the second half of just, when the second half just starts, of not being awake to a situation. And when you're playing against a side like Liverpool, I absolutely hate Liverpool, by the way, and you won't see me credit them much, but they were champions last season for a reason, and that's because they're quick. They're very quick on the ball. They make things happen very quickly, and when you give them the ball, they're going to do that, and they've done that within the opening 2 minutes. I remember seeing the ball come in and the goal go in, and I just stopped for like 10 seconds and I thought, is that a goal? Is that 1-0? And I think the BT commentators were like, oh, it's 1-0, it's gone in, because it just happened so quickly, and we couldn't cope with that either.
Well, let's have it right. The Premier League champion, and they won the Champions League the year before. I mean, this, you talk, like, take Liverpool out of it, they're an exceptional side, aren't they? So for a team like Everton, who finished, let's have it right, finished 12th last year, was in all disarray, but until Carlo Ancelotti come in to sort of put them to the task in some cases. I thought he really sort of showed himself to be a really good side, Everton. And this is Everton that weren't firing at all cylinders. I mean, you're talking about a team that has been dismantled in the midfield. We've got a completely different midfield. You've got to realise that. like there's no real, like it's not 100% cohesion in the midfield at this moment in time. We're sort of just learning on the job in the sense.
Yeah.
So I thought the one thing that we've probably both noticed in it is the fact that this team, is attitude when they go down 1-0 is second to none.
Yeah.
They always come back. I mean, last year you go 1-0 down, you think, oh, the game's done.
Yeah, well, we never come back from 1-0 down under Marco Silva to win any game in the Premier League.
That's it. Like I'd love to see. I'm sure there's stats out there where I'm pretty sure it was on Sky at one point. I'll try and find it. That I think we were like the least team to come back when we went 1-0 down or went behind, didn't we? Something like that. So listen, they were all right. Like I wouldn't praise the performance too much. You've got to just put it down to pretty much individual brilliance really to Everton to get back in the side. I thought, listen, James Rodriguez is his waiting goal with them set pieces, isn't he?
Spot on.
He's fantastic.
Spot on.
And I think just that alone will make us at least 10 points.
Yeah, spot on.
In the season. So, listen, I thought they were very good. They could. Listen, we had high expectations, didn't we?
Definitely.
But sort of got back down to reality when it was 3 minutes in. And listen, they're the benchmark, aren't they? That team's the benchmark, and we put up a good fight and we've come away with it 2-2. Whether you look at the VAR and think it was a mistake or you think lines are getting bent or not, and at the end of the day we've come away with it with a 2-2 draw against the champions, and we go on to Southampton, don't we? Hopefully they carry on.
That's it. But we matched them in a lot of ways. Like I said before, obviously the discussion of the weekend and everything that's in the media, which was always going to be the case, was the VAR situation, the Pickford situation. Not much is being made of Everton in the post at 1-1, and Richarlison being ragged back by Andy Robertson, by the way, when he heads that ball, which should have been a penalty by all ways of the law. Nothing much made of the Dominic Calvert-Lewin chance that if he just concentrates on getting it on target or having a shot at goal, then it's potentially 2-1, certainly with that keeper in goal. Not made of the numerous chances that we put into the box, and you know, we did come into our own, and we started to, I think, the fear element sort of left a little bit, but at the start we just couldn't get our foot on the ball. And you're right, we've had a lot of players out injured already this season. We've had a lot of players go on international duty. The fitness was clearly, I don't want to say an issue, but it clearly wasn't at 110%. It wasn't where it was in previous games, and we could see that. And you could see that in Alan, who wasn't on the ball. And again, Alan hasn't put in a bad performance since he's been at Everton Football Club, but he struggled on Saturday. And it was a physical game from the start, wasn't it? Virgil van Dijk started the president by putting in two little cheeky, sneaky challenges. One on James Rodriguez, which is no intent to win the ball whatsoever. He just wants to put him over. And I think, again, I do think he done that very similar to the target of Coleman. I think he done that because he knew James could have potentially have a fitness problem. And I think one on Richarlison as well. And like you said, with 3 minutes in, 1-0 down, it's not looking great. They're attacking us. We just don't look like we can get a foot on the ball whatsoever. 15-20 minutes in, again, continuous pressure, ball comes over the top. Virgil van Dijk looks destined to head it, and Jordan Pickford comes clattering into him. Now, this was offside, obviously, which was ultimately why a decision wasn't given regarding the Pickford situation. The FA have come out today and said that they will not take retrospective action against Jordan Pickford. One thing I want to say, and I want to get out the way before we go into talk about this, because we have to talk about it because it was in the game, is that I don't advocate the challenge by Jordan Pickford. I think it's a poor challenge, and I think it's a silly decision by Jordan Pickford. But just a little word to Liverpool fans that might be watching this, or football fans that might be watching this. If you're an Evertonian, Jordan Pickford's been making silly decisions for about the last 16, 18 months consistently. Whether it be something like that, whether it be dropping a ball, whether it be the situation at the end of the game with Jordan Henderson's shot of allowing a ball to go over him, which shouldn't and never have had any divine right to go over him. Jordan Pickford's been making those rash, stupid decisions for a long time. And Jamie Carragher, I thought, got this spot on. He completely wiped the eye of Graham Souness, who shouldn't be anywhere near football commentary. He said, as much as it was a bad challenge and as much as Jordan Pickford maybe should have seen red for it, he said, these things happen in football. He said, I had an injury and I nearly broke Nanny's leg. He said, don't believe 99% of footballers, when making challenges, don't go out with the intent to hurt. I don't think Jordan Pickford goes out with the intent to hurt Virgil van Dijk, personally. I think he flies out and does this thing that Jordan does an awful lot, which you'll notice if you're an Evertonian, and tries to make his body big. He does it when headers come into him, he does it when shots come into him, and it just so happens that this time he clattered through a player. Now, without sounding horrible or like an evil person, this turned the game in our favour. Virgil van Dijk went off and they brought on Joe Gomez, who we knew was nowhere near the level of Virgil van Dijk. We knew we could get at their defenders. We knew we could create opportunities. One thing I want to say, and I want to get your opinion on this in a second, Tom, but I'm not standing for this high horse FC bollocks from a selection of their fans. Listen, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans, to be fair to them, say we can't say anything. We lauded when certain Everton players got injured. We made fun, and we lauded when City players got injured in that season, where we won the league. They had a big massive party practically when De Bruyne got injured last season. But I've seen some Liverpool fans wanting petitions for Jordan Pickford to be banned, wanting Jordan Pickford to be arrested and the police to get involved. And I don't so much mind that, because that's fans, and if this was roles reversed, I'd be unhappy with the situation. I'd be very disappointed. It's the media presence, it's the media pundits that are paid money to talk about football matches that are still saying that Jordan Pickford should be banned for the same amount of time as Virgil van Dijk is out. It's like they've never seen an accident ever in football. It's like they've never seen a situation like that. Two things we have to maintain here. For me, it's an awful challenge, and again, if he's onside, he probably sees red. And I think if he'd have got a red card, there wouldn't have been many Evertonians sitting back saying, that's not a red card. I think a lot of Evertonians have sat back and gone, it's stupid by Jordan. But one thing it's definitely not, for me, is intent to harm Virgil van Dijk. Unfortunately for Virgil van Dijk, he's now going to see a long spell out on the sidelines. But football's a contact sport. Van Dijk knew that himself by going into two Everton players very, very early on in the game. It was a big talking point in the game, Tom. Obviously, not only was it a big talking point because Jordan Pickford stayed on the pitch, and obviously it was given as an offside and that was it, but it was also a big talking point because, again, for me, I don't know if you saw it, but it just switched the momentum a little bit in Everton's favour. Liverpool were forced into make a defensive change and bring on a player who's nowhere near the ability of Virgil van Dijk, and I think that gave a lot of Everton players and certainly fans a confidence to go out and get at them now. What did you make of it initially? Do you sort of agree with me? Do you think it was a rash challenge and he's probably lucky to have not seen red, but there was no malice in it? And what do you sort of think of the outcry that, for me, has been nothing short of embarrassing by a lot of people on social media after this?
Yeah, I mean, let's have it right. It was reckless, but did he go and intend to cause Virgil van Dijk serious harm? No, it's clearly not. He saw, see, with Jordan at this moment in time, he can't do anything right because he's always in the headline. And listen, he's put himself in this position, hasn't he? Yeah. His performances have been poor, and his decision making, which we've constantly said, and it's one main word that we always say, and we've always said on probably this channel as well. He's erratic. He's just that's him. He can't sort of be cool, calm, and he's just a very erratic goalkeeper. So, listen, at first instance, I thought it was horrendous, but I've looked back and looked at it a good few times, and listen, when you stop an image and you look at a still image, it looks horrendous.
Yeah.
When you break it down, second by just dead slowly, it looks horrendous. But in the flow of the game, I don't think it looked that bad.
No.
Because he's gone for the ball. At the first glance, when you see him, actually, he steps back first.
Yeah.
And then he makes the decision to go. So then he's coming in late.
Yeah. But
he's gone for the ball, and as he's gone for the ball, the ball's gone past, and it just so happens that he's gone to clatter. He's gone and clattered him, and the unfortunate thing is that Virgil van Dijk's legs just been trapped into the ground. And listen, you're hearing this nonsense now about he should be banned for the same time as well. That's just, I don't even think we should even give people or journalists like Julian Laurens time of day with things like that. I think that's a narrative that for some reason has started trying to gather momentum, which is utter nonsense. I mean, listen, it's a horrendous challenge. It is a reckless challenge, sorry. and it is bad because he does go high, and he just flies out. But he's a keeper, so like these keepers do these things. Every keeper does it. It's not just him that does this. I mean, looking from a Everton point of view, or looking at as say for example his manager, if he doesn't do that and he allows Van Dijk to get a shot on goal and he scores, you'd have murder with him.
Yeah.
You'd be causing absolute murder with him in the changing room. So he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. Yeah. So it's one of them. But to come out and start sort of questioning his character as a person, I think is totally unjust.
Yeah.
I think to insinuate that it's an assault, from a man who could have potentially ended a few careers in his day.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, he needs to get off his high horse, because he could have incited violence against in the Galatasaray thing when he put the flag down.
Yeah.
So this is a man that his moral compass over his course of his career is very low. So listen, we've heard it before, and I don't want to really start bashing Souness, but we heard it the other week about the grass was long and these excuses, like just utter nonsense like that. But the one thing I forget Souness, because you expect it from Souness, because you've seen it over the years from Souness. He's never changed, which is fair enough. He's made his stalls out, and the one thing for me is that the commentary that was given against Everton on the Saturday, I thought it was total and utter disgraceful the way Steve McManaman conducted himself, regardless of being an Everton fan. Just a pure neutral looking at the game. All it was a Liverpool fan channel.
Yeah,
you might as well have put on Redmen TV and just watched it from there, because every decision that happened or anything that went against or what went for Everton, he'd question it, he'd challenge it, and then if it wouldn't go for Liverpool, he was just basically a fan, weren't he? Just in the ground. And I thought Martin Keown didn't do himself any justice by saying, I can't believe about my eyes. Well, go get glasses on, mate, because the lines were there. It's offside, and to talk about VAR, that isn't going back to the Pickford situation. VAR didn't even look at it.
No, because of the offside.
He was too busy.
Yeah.
But he was too busy. Yeah, maybe when you break it down and you look at it and you think, he's got away with it. He has got away with it, because it is a bad challenge, right? Yeah, fair enough, he should be sent off. But does that mean after the game now you start looking and going, right, he should be banned the same time as the injury?
Yeah.
What type of nonsense is that?
Exactly. And it's also something we've never heard before, which is quite coincidental, because, you know, Andre Gomez had a situation with Heung-min Son and Serge Aurier, 12 months ago, or a little over 12 months ago, without bringing old situations up. But that was portrayed in the media to be, let's all ask how Son is, because it's obviously a very hard time for Son, because he, it's not easy for him. He's the one who's done it. Let's all surround him.
Just on that, right? When you compare them, right? When you put them if you look at them video each to each side, and who out of the both of them went to go intend to hurt someone?
Son.
Be honest, like
Son.
No Everton fan or even Liverpool fans, if they're listening or anything, just take Everton and Liverpool and just look at it from just a bad challenge to a horrendous challenge. He's being pushed over the ball, Son, and he's gone to go and intend to. Well, I wouldn't say end his career, but he's gone to hit him. I don't think Jordan Pickford's gone to do that.
No, he's made a reckless decision, which is what Jordan Pickford does.
That's Jordan Pickford, though.
Spot on.
That's and I'm not. And the only way I'm going to back Pickford, I'm not going to back Pickford in the sense of what the challenge. I'll back him in the sense of his character, because I think to paint the picture that he's this sort of person that goes out and starts to end careers is utter nonsense.
No, I agree. I agree.
Nonsense.
Go on.
And you look at the media.
Yeah.
Look what the media done to Son. He's not like this, not that, and I'm sure, like, when he did come back, he got sent off again, didn't he?
Yeah, he got sent off a couple of weeks later against Chelsea, and then again.
Oh, yeah. Well, so you're looking at it thinking, well, what have Everton got to do as a club to start standing up for themselves? Because this is one issue I've got with Everton. They just go silent, and I hate that about this club. They go absolutely silent on issues like this, and they think they bury their heads, and they don't stand up for themselves. Listen, they used to do it on the pitch with Jagielka and Baines, and listen, brilliant footballers, but they couldn't open their mouths. They couldn't start dictating or doing what top players do every week, by the way. They get on refs' cases. Everton as a club is too nice.
Yeah.
They need to start standing up for the players. And listen, if you move on quickly to just putting on to Richarlison's challenge, I can't moan there. He's gone in reckless. Yeah. It's a daft challenge. You can't. But listen, you've got to back him. You've got to back his character. Yeah. He come out and apologised,
and then received an awful lot of abuse for it.
Well, there you go. And I was going to say that he's come out and apologised. He's put a statement out, and you get opposition fans. And let's have it right. He got called monkey and everything.
Yeah,
that is disgraceful.
Yeah,
that if you're building that argument and that's your base to start saying things like that, then you win no arguments.
Yeah.
Your argument is then evaporated because now you're putting personal things into it and racial sort of violence against someone. That is a disgrace and should not be involved in any discussion whatsoever. You see, when you sort of disagree with someone, it's fine to disagree with someone. But when you start giving personal attacks, that to me is just very you're not a very intellectual person.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So if you're gonna have a good discussion about it, then have a good discussion. You can agree to disagree in things, but when you come to a happy medium, that's fine. But then to start doing personal attacks like that, you're just onto it hard into nothing really.
Yeah, no.
And I think really Liverpool as a club should start pushing away from these things. That sort of I'm not really blanketing the whole Liverpool fan base, because let's be having it right. We've all got mates that are Liverpool fans, and they'll back what I'm saying up, and I'll back what they're saying up about Pickford, where it was a disgrace.
Yeah.
But you can't have this bias. You've got to have a fairness and just say it as it is.
Yeah. No, I agree, spot on, 100%, and you're right, the media outcry and the bias in the commentary. I mean, the Dugout channel's donated £5 to the scene, thank you very much, mate. We will get in the live comments in a second. I've noticed there's a little bit of animosity. Look, we're just here to talk about the game. There's no red or blue in the comments. Give your opinion, and then everyone gives their opinion, and everyone's entitled to it. There's no need for any animosity or flying in. We will get into the comments. The Dugout's donated £5. Big thanks, Doug. He says, as a red, I hate Steve McManaman's commentary. It will put me to sleep as soon as he's always got something to say. Draw was a fair result. Yeah, you're spot on, Tom. The media outcry for that situation, and you can talk about the Son situation. You can talk about any situation that has involved players hurting themselves. Nias situation. It's always different when it's either Everton or it's against Liverpool or Man United or a team like that, and it's embarrassing. And you put out a fantastic tweet yesterday, Tom, about Everton backing up Jordan Pickford, and said that these pundits and these specialists that talk about football need to be very, very careful. And Jamie Carragher actually said this when Graham Souness tried the whole it was an assault. He said you need to be very careful what you're saying. What they're doing, like you said, is they're mixing up a bad footballing challenge, which happens every single week. Find me a week in the Premier League or in the Championship where a bad challenge hasn't been made in at least one of the games. Find me. I remember Anthony Knockaert making one against Leighton Baines a few years back. It was said there's a bad challenge, he got a red card, and that was it. When you start saying that's a person's character and he meant that, and then you've got people saying he's not going to be able to live in the city anymore, and ever see him, you've got Liverpool fan channels, and I'm not going to name them, but you've got Liverpool fan channels with over hundreds of thousands of followers, one with over 1 million followers, advocating violence towards Jordan Pickford. I've seen the tweets. One of them said something along the lines of fully advocate people volleying Pickford in the street or something like that. One of them said another disgusting, horrible remark towards him. Big outlets with hundreds of thousands of followers who have a responsibility to put out a valid argument and leave it at that, putting out threats. The stuff towards Richarlison when he come out and apologised was disgusting. And you're right, once you start throwing shouts out like that and you're getting into defamation of character, listen, you're only putting yourself in a bad situation, because it's going to come off bad for you, absolutely awfully. And I agree, Everton need to come out now, and Everton need to back up Jordan Pickford, and Everton need to back up Richarlison. And don't get me wrong, I understand that Carlo Ancelotti's probably put an arm around Richarlison and Pickford and said, listen, you know, it's not your fault, this, that, the other. I know all the Everton players commented on Luca Dean's post today when he put up that he tried to steal the red card from the referee to stop Richarlison getting sent off, and they were all having a laugh. So I dare say Ancelotti's had that discussion, and it would be nice. What I also think would have been nice, and don't get me wrong, this may be wishful thinking, and Virgil van Dijk has got no need to do this, or there's not like a divine right he should have come out and done it, but I thought it would have been nice for Virgil van Dijk to come out on Saturday night and done what Andre Gomez done with the Son situation and said, look, it was an accident, things happen in football, don't go towards him, just stop it, I'll return, I'll be back. But he didn't. There's rumours that he didn't accept the apology, there's rumours that he's spat his dummy, whatever. Again, he doesn't have to come out and say that. I just think that would have completely nullified the situation. But the response has been quite dramatic and quite awful. Jordan Pickford's wife on social media, who's got nothing to do with Everton Football Club, nothing to do with football. She is the wife of Jordan Pickford, the mother of his child, is getting death threats, is being told that she won't be able to walk in the streets of her own city again.
Well, that's just an utter disgrace.
It's atrocious, it's disgusting, and for a challenge in a football match.
At the end of the day, you send us over them tweets from whoever it is. I could probably gather who it is or what type of outlet they are. I could probably have a guess.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But things and people like that, that certain channel that are probably, I'm assuming that it is, they've done that in the past where they sort of this poor me act. And listen, once you start going inciting violence against someone, I'm sorry to say, but police have got to get involved.
Yeah, they are, haven't they? The Merseyside police have confirmed today that they're investigating tweets towards Richarlison.
And the person who's running that account needs a hard look at themselves for what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, it's football. Yeah. It's football. And everyone's getting all up in arms about football. Yeah. You don't want to start... So has Jordan now got to start walking around with his own security and things like that and worrying about what's going to happen with his wife and his kid when they're going to the shops or something? Or are you going to have some lunatic start shouting things at them? It's utter nonsense what's going on, you know. And people in the media, especially fan channels and especially people who, as in the credible journalists, need to have a hard look at themselves and get themselves out of this bubble that they've put themselves in and get into reality. That the fact is, it's a young lad who's already had a hard time so far through his England career and Everton career, and they're inciting violence and then putting pressure on him. I think what all happens about this mental health issues and all things like that, where's all that gone? It's an utter disgrace from credible journalists and from fan channels who, in the sense, listen, if it was shoe was on the other foot, I'd be saying, yeah, it was horrible. But no way in the world would Toffee TV, or the Unholy Trinity, anyone would advocate violence against someone's family.
Yeah.
This is where I think people go too far, and I think this is where, in a sense, I'd like to see some cohesion and other people talking on other channels with each other and having an actual discussion with other Liverpool fan channels, whether they could be on here, whether Toffee TV could do it, and actually talk about these issues. Because you have one truth, you have the other truth, and then there's the truth down in the middle, isn't it? So I think the best bet is hopefully someone or anyone could really get down and have a genuine conversation without shouting and playing up to the camera. And you've got idiots. Even the Irish. I don't even know what his name is. It's just pure.
Getting offering people out over a football match. What?
Well, it's entertainment, and listen, you go too far when things like that. And listen, there's wind-up merchants on both sides, but listen, it's the derby. Like, you can have a wind-up, and it's not very often that Everton gets a wind-up here, Liverpool fans, is it? And listen, once it goes past a laugh and a joke and a little wind-up and a few little memes of joking, and it starts getting into attacking players' families and things like that, then what are we doing all this for then?
Exactly. What's the point?
What's the point? You might as well all just shut up shop and go home and cancel it all, because I don't want to be a part of that. I certainly don't think no one else does.
Spot on. I agree completely, and that works for both sides, by the way. I know Everton Rose is in the comments. We will get in the comments in a second. Big thanks to everybody for watching live and getting involved. Really, really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying, please do hit that like button. If you could share the stream to get as many people in here as possible, it would mean a great amount. Rose says, where's the comments? It's a really good comment. Let me just find it. She says that I've seen too much abuse, to be honest, on both sides. It's a rivalry, but it's being taken too far this weekend. And that's, for me, what I didn't enjoy about this. This was a classic Merseyside derby. It was an old-fashioned Merseyside derby. There was tackles, there was controversy, there was goals, there was everything that the neutral would sit back and say. If you speak to a neutral fan about this game, they'll say it was one of the best games all season. It was great, there was everything, there was this, there was that, there was the other. I knew instantly, as soon as that final whistle went, that there was going to be some form of reaction on social media that was just going to go too far. Jordan Pickford's a player that is already playing with very little confidence. As Tom said, has he now got to walk around with security? Has he now got to worry about his children's life? Has he now got to worry about his own life? What? Over a game of footy, over a bad challenge? Again, I think that certain people in the Liverpool camp, whether it be Van Dijk or Klopp, could have come out and said, listen, end this now, it's a footy game, it's an injury. They've got no, they don't have to do that. They're not obliged to do that, which is fair enough. Everton should be coming out and saying, listen, we back our men, or they should have at least done it in private, which I assume they would. But that's just what left a sour taste in my mouth. Was I just knew that it was going to go too far on social media, and we've seen it before with fan bases that some go at their own players, some go at opposition players, and it just took a sour, horrible turn at the weekend. And it wasn't helped by the media, who tried to paint this picture of Jordan Pickford as being an awful, horrible player and an horrible person, and with the intent to hurt and the intent to injure. The media should have stopped that straight away and done what they done with Son and said it was an accident, he didn't mean to do it, and he will be in a bad place as well. And to be fair, again, you won't see me saying this many a time, certainly not on this channel. To be fair to Jamie Carragher, he come out and said that. He come out and said that last night, and he said, look, Jordan Pickford won't be in a good way, and in many ways he shouldn't be, because it was an awful challenge, but it stops there. It was an awful challenge in a footballing match. He hasn't murdered anybody. Virgil van Dijk hasn't been murdered. He'll come back in a few months' time. He got up, he walked off. Yes, it's a bad injury. Yes, it's an awful tackle, not advocating it. But the reaction has been nothing short of sickening, to be honest. And it does make you look at social media and make you think, what's the point? What's the point in me and Tom coming on every week and talking about Everton Football Club if the players that we're talking about are sitting there in their mind thinking, fucking hell, I can't go to Tesco here because my car might be bricked, or I might be thingied up. And when you've got fan channels and fan media with hundreds of thousands of, we're not talking about a fan, an individual fan with 50 followers saying, oh, I'm going to smash Pickford's head in. We're talking about channels with hundreds of thousands of followers. A lot of those followers will be impressionable people and impressionable young people who will laud every word. We've already seen this. We've seen this on numerous occasions outside of football. This is a society issue. We've seen it where certain celebrities or certain people have come out and said something, and that has had a detrimental effect on life because people believe every word that comes out of that person's mouth. People and organisations with that much of a following should not be coming out and inciting violence against the player. Come out and say it was an awful challenge, he should have been banned, I don't like the player, whatever. That's football. Disagreements, like Tom said, there's the truth, and then there's the truth in the middle. Don't come out and incite violence against people. Nobody should be doing that, never mind people with massive followings. But yeah, just to round the Virgil van Dijk situation up, it was an awful challenge by Pickford. Maybe should have been sent off, maybe shouldn't have been sent off, but it didn't need to be the way it's gone. Did I think it would have gone the way it have went? Absolutely, because as soon as I seen it, I thought there's just going to be absolute outcry here. But there was no need, absolutely no need for some of the things I've saw over social media this weekend, and that'll probably continue to see. And it hasn't been helped by the media, who are trying to portray this image, this pantomime image of Virgil van Dijk's Cinderella and Jordan Pickford's like the wild witch of the West or whatever, because that just incites the story again further. Doesn't help by Sky Sports saying, should he be banned for the same amount of time? It's a bad tackle. When else in football history as a player who put in a bad challenge being told that they're going to be banned for the same amount of time? It's ridiculous. But anyway, moving swiftly on, Virgil van Dijk goes out, and like I said, goes off the pitch with an injury. And like I said, for me, although it mightn't be it's not in the best situation, the game switches in Everton's favour because they have to replace him, and ultimately they bring on a defender that isn't as good as him. Everton go up to the end, and we get a corner through a forced shot by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which I actually think's quite a clever shot. He has the shot from obviously near enough the corner flag, and Adrian flaps. And there was numerous occasions, Tom, in this game where I looked at it and I thought, just hit shots at this keeper, because he can't. That was one of them. James Rodriguez hit a tame shot in the second half and he couldn't even catch it. He tipped it back into his box, and I just thought, just hit shots at this keeper. But anyway, Virgil van Dijk, Dominic Calvert-Lewin hits one from near enough the corner flag. Adrian flaps it out for the corner. James puts a brilliant ball in. Michael Keane heads it home. Should the keeper do better? Probably, but I'm not bothered. It's a brilliant goal, and it's 1-1. And like you said before, we've shown that mentality to pick our heads up and come back into the game. We come back into the game, it goes to half-time, 1-1, and you're thinking, yeah, we've probably got away with the situation there with Jordan Pickford. We've come back into the game. Can we now press on? It was evident, wasn't it, Tom, that we needed to improve in the second half. It was evident that the midfield needed to improve, that we needed to start getting our foot on the ball, and we needed to stop Liverpool from playing this free-flowing football that they were playing. Obviously, what did you make of the goal? What did you make of the situation? And how were you feeling at half-time when, obviously we went in at 1-1 and you're sort of thinking, right, okay, let's flip the game now?
Yeah, it was sort of a relief, wasn't it, really, to think, like, we're back in the foot. So listen, just dead quick on Van Dijk. No, I wish him well, and no one wishes any ill will on any player, and I hope he does return, because at the end of the day, he is a fantastic player, and no one wants that. But listen, the goal was fantastic. I thought it really went against run of play, really, didn't it? It was James. James played a delightful ball in behind for Calvert-Lewin, and that's one thing Tom hasn't really been doing. Has he really just taken shots from anywhere where you want him to start doing things like that? And well, overall, I don't think we really put much pressure on the goalie, like you say. He looked very, very vulnerable, didn't he? And like you say, James had a tame shot, and even Calvert-Lewin from the tight angle, he was unlucky that he never put it into his own net. Yeah. So that was one issue that I thought that we could have just done a little bit better. Just like you say, you hear the old saying, don't you? Just to start taking shots from anywhere.
She's on side.
Yeah, and we never really took that, did we? But listen, going into half time, I thought, and with Van Dijk going off, I thought it was a big chance for Everton to go on to literally go win the game. And listen, they come out the second half, and I thought after that you're seeing the Calvert-Lewin chance, and then you're seeing the Richarlison chance, and you're thinking, here we go again. It just that thread just comes over, doesn't it? If they're gonna do something again against us, and listen, it was a goal of absolute nothing. It was absolute schoolboy error, weren't it, from me?
I think that feeling comes certainly after the pressure that we were put on in the first half, and the fact that we went into half time 1-1. Obviously, like we mentioned before, we could have been 2-0 down in 20 minutes with 10 men, which would have just absolutely killed it off. We go in 1-1, and you come out in the second half, and we did improve. We started to get a foothold in the game. Alan was exceptional in the second half, which he had to be because he was poor in the first half. Abdoulaye Doucouré, improved a little bit. Andre Gomez not so much, but we looked a little bit more of the menacing side. We looked like we were going to take the game to Liverpool a little bit, like we wanted to go out and actually think, no, you know what, we're going to have a bit of the ball here, we're going to move it, we're going to bring it forward, we're going to create opportunities. And when you miss those two, not only does that typical, oh my god, we're going to rue these chances come over, but you think we've just seen how effective this Liverpool team can be. When we get those chances, we absolutely have to take them. You can't not take them. And obviously there's the Richarlison one where he gets pulled back, and look, there's an argument there as to whether or not it should be a penalty. There hasn't been any discussion on in the media, because obviously why would there be, because it was Everton. But Richarlison hits the post. The Dominic Calvert-Lewin one, for me, not only is it an unbelievable ball by James Rodriguez, it's a brilliant ball in by Luca Dean. I think every ball I've seen Luca Dean put in this season has been world class. I don't think I've seen him put a bad ball or an average cross into the box. He just picks out his man straight away, and it's usually a first time cross as well. This was another one, a first time cross. again, you know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably should wrap his foot around the ball. He doesn't quite wrap his foot around the ball. Adrian gets to it and he fumbles it. Obviously, you know, at this point the game was in full whack of you know, physicality, wasn't it? There was some nasty challenges getting thrown in. Robertson had one on Alan. Obviously the Richarlison one a little bit later on. But I want to go and talk about the Robinson one before we talk about Salah's goal and then ultimately the equaliser, and then a bit more on Jordan Pickford and the saves that he made. What did you make of that Robinson challenge? I personally think it's a sending off. I think he lashes out at Alan even after being potentially pushed over by Mina. Not much was made of it, obviously. But again, that would have been a detrimental moment in the game, wouldn't it, if he'd have seen red at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sort of say he deserves a red from a referee's standpoint because he did get pushed, so you can sort of argue that as momentum, but the momentum to then throw your leg out is just nonsense. So I can see it both ways, but I can see why they never reviewed it. So that was each for me personally. Yeah, that's 6.5 and half a dozen minutes. So it was just one out, like. You do look at it and you wonder why they never looked at it, because I think the angle never really done Everton as a sense any favours there, because it was behind the angle that he was showing was behind Mina Werner, and you couldn't really see much. I know they'd done like a quick little glance from looking down at the angle, but listen, you're never going to get that personally, and I don't think we really needed anyone to really go off at all. We were playing the better football in the first 15 minutes of the second half, and like you say, you made a good point. It's them chances in it. That's just the difference between world class and just being a very, very good player. I mean, Richarlison's going to be, in my opinion, is going to be very, very good. Is he going to be world elite? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe not, because them chances you have to take. You're seeing it with their goal with Salah. I mean, how he gets his foot round that to go put it bottom post is fantastic, and it comes out of nothing, doesn't it?
Well, that's it.
That's just the difference. That's just the difference, really. But listen. To get away from to give heap praise on Calvert-Lewin, I thought he was very quiet all game. Lewin, he's very isolated, weren't he?
Yeah, no.
Did you think he was very isolated up top? Nothing was really going for. He couldn't really get it stuck up top, but also he was getting no help whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree.
He had nothing, and listen, the leap is just out of this world, isn't it? I think he did jump out of this world, didn't he?
He was very, very high in the air. You're right, he didn't have much all game, and I think the Richarlison red card come because of the frustration of Richarlison, which we have seen before. You know, when he gets frustrated, he again makes rash decisions and you know, throws in stupid challenges. But again, we were sort of, you know, again, we were controlling the play a little bit. We were creating opportunities. We were having the better of the ball. We looked a more promising side, and all of a sudden Liverpool go up the other end, and they put a ball into the box, and Yerry Mina just absolutely flaps at it. Why he back heels it instead of just wrapping his foot completely round it and either volleying it over the bar or volleying it out. He knocks it back into Salah's path, and don't get me wrong, it's a clever finish by Mo Salah. It's a quick finish, it's reactive, and he puts it in the bottom corner. Again, I don't think Jordan Pickford could do much about it, and all of a sudden you're 2-1 down again in another situation, much like the first half in Liverpool's first goal, where you're sitting there thinking, I can't quite believe we've gone 2-1 down here. What's going on? Have we actually conceded there? Because again,
what did you think at that point? What was going through your head?
For me, I thought, you know what? I thought we've got enough. I actually had a little bit of an inner confidence that we'd get back into the game. I went from thinking, right, okay, when it was 1-1, we can push on and win this now, to thinking, I'm not too sure we can win it. I think we'll get back into it and nick a point, but I'm not too sure we'll win it, just because obviously it's another massive hurdle. So it was a big disappointment for me, because it was against the run of play as well. It was just a goal that we didn't need to concede, and again, it's come from a stupid decision by Yerry Mina, a stupid mistake. Don't get me wrong, there's still an awful lot to do from Mo Salah, but it was avoidable, and that was the most disappointing for me. As you look at that situation and you think, that's avoidable, that we didn't need to do. It's not a world-class goal that he's hit from 40 yards and it's come out of nowhere. It's an avoidable goal, and that was the biggest disappointment for me. And, you know, all of a sudden Liverpool go 2-1 up, and it's then up to Everton. Instead of Everton taking the game to Liverpool and creating opportunities, it's then up to us to go and get back into it. And, you know, not long after the goal, obviously Jordan Pickford's called into action again, and we really did see both sides of Jordan Pickford, didn't we, on Saturday? We saw the brilliant side of Jordan Pickford, we saw the rash side of Jordan Pickford, and we saw the poor side of Jordan Pickford. On this occasion, we saw the quite brilliant side, didn't we? He made a couple of good saves in this game. He made a good save from a Trent Alexander-Arnold free kick, but one that stood out massively for me was the Joel Matip header. Corner comes in for Liverpool. Joel Matip gets his head on it, and this isn't an effort that's headed straight at Jordan Pickford, by the way. He is absolutely at full stretch, and he claws it around the box. And this is the most disappointing thing for me, is that Jordan Pickford can pull those saves out. Jordan Pickford can save you games, but he can also, 20 minutes later, nearly throw a game away for you. What did you make of the save? And I suppose ultimately, we're still having the same conversations about Jordan, aren't we? Is that you take away the Van Dijk situation and the rash tackle. Let's look at the save, the Matip save, and the Henderson situation. We're still talking about Jordan Pickford in the veins that 1 minute he's excellent, the next minute he's absolutely atrocious. And this was, to be fair to him, this was a moment of excellence from Jordan Pickford, wasn't it? As there was a couple of situations in this game where he made a couple of really good saves.
Yeah, it was world class, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was absolutely brilliant from dead range. Really, I mean, he must have been about 5 yards away from him, and he's put bullets headed. They weren't none of this. When a flick headed, it was pure power, wasn't it? And
absolutely.
He's done well, Matip, to get his head onto it, but it was fantastic to get it away. And listen, you separate the challenge on Van Dijk, and you separate ultimately the mistake that he made for Henderson's, which he got away with for the offside. But his overall performance, I thought he played well. Yeah. I thought he was pretty well, but I think we're going past how well he plays now. I think we've got Ancelotti's got a massive decision on his hands, whether he just takes him out to the firing line now.
Yeah.
Because next Saturday, there's going to be a target on his head from officials, whether you like it or not. There's going to be media watching what he does. There's going to be heaps of pressure on him, and it's sort of taken away how good Everton have played so far this season. You don't want it just to be about a certain player. You want the media to start focusing on Everton and Everton as the team that they've been so far. So I think it's a big decision this weekend whether you bring Olsen in now and just give Pickford the time out that he probably deserves now after all this thing that's gone on, and sort of just kill the conversation off. If you take him out the far line, and I think that's the best thing that the club can do. Yeah. We've got a player there that essentially is a Swedish international. He's played in a top 5 league in Italy. Yeah. Cool, calm and collective, not erratic, just straightforward, average, good goalkeeper. So I think just for Jordan personally, I wish that they do take him out. Yeah. Out of the far line and just let him just gather his thoughts. Let him just have a few games off. Let him just sort of gather himself and just let him get back to being what he was when he first come into the club.
No, I agree. Spot on. I agree. I think you're right. Again, it's an absolute world class save, and unfortunately for Jordan Pickford, not only the Henderson situation, but the outcry of the Virgil van Dijk situation means that he's going to have an awful lot on his head, and Jordan Pickford didn't need that because he already has an awful lot on his head. Clearly, he's already a player not playing with confidence. So I agree. I think taking Jordan out for a couple of weeks and allowing him just that time to get over it and for things to quieten down a little bit and that overall fume and all of this sort of rubbish to just sort of go, get swept under the carpet a little bit and moved on. I think that's the right decision for Jordan Pickford. I think if you put Jordan Pickford in next week, you run the risk of him making another rash decision. And to be perfectly honest with you, Tom, I think if Jordan Pickford starts against Southampton next week and makes a mistake, I think we all sit here as Evertonians and go, well, what do you expect? The lad's just come off the back of his wife being threatened, his children being threatened, himself being threatened, all because of an accident, as well as a Merseyside derby in which he is being full of emotion and full of action. What do you expect him to not be 100% on it? He'll come out and say he's ready, because he's a footballer, and he's not going to come out and say he's not ready, because he's never done that, even in times where where you've been able to tell he's struggling. He won't come out and say, oh, I need a rest. But I think if Carlo takes him out, puts an arm around him and says, look, you've done your job there on Saturday, okay, you made a bad challenge, whatever, but you made a couple of good saves, and ultimately the Henderson situation didn't end in a goal, so I'll give you a little rest for a couple of weeks, have a few weeks off, get into training, work hard, work on it, and fight your way back into the team. Just take the limelight away from him, take the pressure away from him, because he's already a media target, isn't he? He's already got a massive target on his back.
Well, that's it now. The media have latched onto it.
Yeah.
So it's not going away until you just remove him out of the situation. I think it's gone past whether he wants to play or not. I think for the club and Ancelotti needs to just take him out to the far line completely, and because then you'll start seeing things going against Everton.
Yeah.
Whether you think it's right or wrong, or you're thinking it's like, but it's inevitable that things will start slowly going against Everton, and ultimately, listen, Everton could go and absolutely batter Southampton, and Pickford could come out of it brilliantly. It could go that way, but they'll be begging, and the builds up to just think of this week now. The builds up to this game, what it's gonna be like for him alone. So I think for him mentally, I think it's the best all round just to take him out the situation, and then 2-3 weeks. Listen, also might come in and just take the spot. You don't know, do you? But I think it's the perfect opportunity to do it.
Yeah. It is. No,
and listen. The media absolutely love taking apart their own England players. Yeah. You've seen it with Sterling. You've seen it with David Beckham in the past. They just love absolutely taking them to pieces.
Yeah, I agree completely, and we've seen it, like you mentioned, time and time again. At the end of the day, ultimately, Jason says in the comments, I hope the club are looking after Jordan, giving him as much support as he needs. Exactly, and I hope they are, and I hope they're doing in the way that Tottenham are doing with Son, and putting their arm around him and saying, look, you've made a bad decision. Doesn't mean that you should, your career should come into question, or all the threats and all that sort of stuff. No, I agree completely. It would be, for me, a good time to take him out, give him a little bit of a rest, and just say to Olsen, you slot in there. No, don't just slot in there and fill a space. Slot in there and prove that you can be the number one goalkeeper, and give Jordan something to fight back with. So obviously, he makes that fantastic save, and all of a sudden we're 2-1 down, and we're fighting to get back into the game. If you are enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Big thanks to everybody in the live comments. We will get in the comments in a moment, and there's loads of comments. I really, really do appreciate it. I know, I'm sure you all understand there's a lot to get through in this one. If you can share the stream, it would mean a great deal to us. We're breaking forward, we're trying to get the equaliser, we're trying to get back into the game. All of a sudden, again, we get an opportunity. James Rodriguez plays a nice ball, again, the focal point of all of our attack and play, plays a nice ball to Luca Dean. Luca Dean plays a brilliant ball in, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin rises like an absolute salmon. And I remember seeing him jump, and Jurgen Klopp, actually, I seen a clip of Jurgen Klopp's post-game press conference after it, and he was asked about the Everton goals, and he said, look, as soon as Luca Dean put that ball into the box, as soon as it left Luca Dean's foot, he said, Carlo Ancelotti and the Everton bench shouted, that's it. And he said, as soon as he said that, I knew it was a goal. And I think we all felt that. As soon as that ball gets chipped in and you see Dominic Calvert-Lewin rising, you know it's going in one place, and that's the back of the net. The header, the accuracy on the header is absolutely sublime. The jump is out of this world. Like Tom said, literally, he must jump about 5.5 foot in the air. It is a fantastic, fantastic goal, and it gets us back into the game at a good time to push on then, to try and get, a winner, and to try and sort of take a foothold in the game. We get back into it, like you said. It was a fantastic finish, Tom, wasn't it? And Dom just keeps going from strength to strength, and Luca Dean's ball was exceptional, and the play by James was exceptional. It was a brilliant goal, and again, it showed the mentality that we have to pick ourselves back up and get back into a game against a team that, let's be honest, played very, very well on Saturday. Yeah,
well, it literally was the three main players that have been playing very well this year for us, attacking wise. I thought brilliant by James to set Lucas Dean. That ball's gonna just give me a consensus throughout this season. Now we were gonna see him just playing Lucas Dean in all the time now, and I think Lucas Dean is has brought his game on tremendously. I think he's proper hit the height that we really thought. Listen, he's had 2 solid seasons where he's been like the main focal point with no backing behind him. But this season, I think they've all took a level, and especially him.
Yeah.
But the ball in's fantastic, and listen, it's a sign of a very good striker if your striker hasn't hardly had any chances, anything whatsoever. And listen, there's only one winner when he jumps up like that, and Andy Robertson just got clowned, didn't he?
Looks like he's gonna cry, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was scared to even jump. He couldn't jump with him, and listen, it was just at the pair. But it's not that he can jump dead high and all this daft. He's jumping, but it's his accuracy with his headers. They're brilliant. That was, even as a youngster, he's been brilliant at that. That was just one main thing that he's got, and he goes again 5 on the bounce. It's unbelievable, isn't it? From a player who everyone had doubts about, especially Everton dads.
Yeah.
But listen, he's going strength to strength, and the only way he's going is on his mentality and his confidence and his attitude in post-game interviews and interviews when he's at England, and you just can't help but enjoy him, can you? And he's a fantastic person outside of the club as well. And listen, he could be one that's a future captain in the near future. I could see him being that. He's got that type of attitude to become one of them players. Yeah. And he's only 22, and he's got loads more to get better at. We're seeing it. He's not the finished article by any means, but he's an England international. He can't stop scoring. What more do you want?
That's it. Absolutely spot on. It was another textbook Dominic Calvert-Lewin goal, a fantastic header. Like you said, the most impressive thing is the accuracy on the header after jumping so high. And it goes to 2-2, and all of a sudden you're thinking, last 15-20 minutes of the game, can we nick something here? But for me, I think the other thought in the head was just keep it tight now. Don't give anything stupid away. They were always going to push for a third. Don't do anything silly. Cue Richarlison flying in with a mad challenge. That was the next sort of big thing to happen. I do want to talk about Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey in a little bit more detail, but we'll talk about the VAR situation and the Richarlison situation first. So Richarlison goes flying in on Thiago with 5 or 10 minutes to go, and Michael Oliver gets his red card out before Richarlison's even finished making the challenge. He actually looks like he gets hurt in the challenge as well. But Michael Oliver gets his red card out, and it's an instant red card, and I think a lot of Evertonians sort of felt like there wasn't really much that you could say about it. It was a poor challenge. It was rash. It was reckless. I think it was frustration by Richarlison, to be honest with you. I think he was frustrated that he didn't score the header. I think he was frustrated that he wasn't really in the game. I think he was frustrated that he was isolated, and he showed that frustration by flying in. He's since apologised. Look, we've spoke about the abuse that he's had and how disgraceful and disgusting that is. Certainly the racial abuse, which is just utterly, utterly disgusting. But he flies into the challenge, Tom, and you sort of, I think there's 2 sides to look at it. There's he's flew in, and it's a Merseyside derby, it's hard, and there's you silly boy, you could have potentially jeopardised the game there in the last 10 minutes with a tackle you didn't need to make. Is there much more to say on the Richarlison situation other than it's stupid, it's reckless, and he didn't need to do it?
Well, you've summed it up perfectly, really. I mean, what more can you say about it? It's just petulance to me.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that challenge was worse than what Pickford did. Personally, I thought it was just utter nonsense what he done, because we get back into the game, and me personally, you could see us being the more threatening team going into the last 10 minutes and that. So it's sort of like childish what he does, because he like you say, he hasn't really been involved much in the game. He couldn't really get his game going, could he? He was sort of losing the ball in a sense. Then he goes and misses that chance, and he got a little pullback, but still massive opportunity for him. And I just think he hasn't thought, and he's just gone in. And listen, if he's gone in with his foot like that, that's how he's gone in. If he goes in with his toe pointed, it's a yellow card. So that's the difference. And he's gone into the challenge, and listen, he could have done serious damage to him, and luckily he hasn't. But listen, he got what he deserves, so you move on from it, don't you? And unfortunately now for Everton, he's out for three matches, which is ridiculous for us. And he's a vital part for us. And
yeah, no, I agree.
You worry now, don't you? The next 3 games, how we're gonna look without him?
Yeah, I agree. Spot on. And you know, you're right. And listen, it was a rash challenge, and it was at a point in the game where both teams were trying to push for the final goal. You know, we were sort of at the momentum because of the equaliser, but Liverpool were also trying to push forward, and he didn't need to do it. And look, it was a physical game. There was a few challenges made by Liverpool players. The Robinson one, Mane was throwing himself on the floor a lot. Van Dijk, before he went off, left a couple in. It was a physical, tough game. You know, full of flying challenges. It just so happened that Richarlison's was very blatant and in front of Michael Oliver, who clearly had one decision to make. And look, you know, Richarlison may have come off, you know, injured, and potentially Thiago as well. But you know, for me, he's just silly. He doesn't need to make it. Again, it's nothing other than a bad challenge in a football match, and that's where it should be finished. It should be stopped there, nothing else. Obviously, you know, it hasn't been. But then, you know, we go down to 10 men. It's at a point in the game where, not ideal, but there's not a lot of time for Liverpool to really, you know, jump on it, even though they went down the other end and scored. And I'm sitting there, 93rd minute into a Merseyside derby. I've seen Jordan Pickford fly into Virgil van Dijk. I've seen Everton come back twice in a Merseyside derby, which is just, you know, unprecedented. I've seen Richarlison be sent off. I've seen Andy Robinson throw a horrible little challenge in. I've seen all sorts happen, and we've conceded in the last minute, and it looks like we're going to be beaten to Jordan Henderson. Not only to Jordan Henderson, but to one of the tamest shots I think I've seen it at a goalkeeper all season. It's it. Jordan Pickford gets an hand to it, somehow manages to throw it into his own box, and you're sort of sitting there, and the VAR comes up, and they showed the replay on telly, and I'm sitting there going, there's no chance this is getting disallowed. The opposition that we're playing, the story of this game, the drama, this Pickford situation, there's no way this is getting disallowed. And it was disallowed, and I don't care, I'll admit it, I jumped up, because we went from no points and a defeat to remaining unbeaten and getting a point in the last second of a game. Now, I've since seen the replay. I've actually seen a picture of where he is offside, and he is by whatever, and I say centimetres, I don't care. He's offside by his shoulder, I think, which is technically a position, part of the body that you can score with. Is it harsh? Yeah. If it was against Everton, would I be fuming? Absolutely. I'd be sitting here talking about it for the next 45 minutes about how awful it is. I'm happy. I'm not arsed, because it went for Everton. It was in the last minute of a Merseyside derby, and it was an arse decision that went against Liverpool. So many of those types of decisions have gone against Everton in the past. The title of this live stream is About Time We Had Some Luck. That was a slice of luck that, listen, you can argue whether it should be offside, whether it shouldn't. It's offside by the letter of the law. If you don't agree with the law, have the argument with the people who make the law. Have the argument with, you know, the officials, with the FA. It was offside by a minimal amount. What were your thoughts on it when it went in, and ultimately, was it just sheer joy when it got ruled out? And also, again, that's another side of Jordan Pickford, isn't it? Without going too much into Jordan, because he's been through a lot, that you sort of look at and you think, you should be dealing with that there.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing him, Richarlison get sent off, and as soon as he got sent off, I just thought that this is only going one way.
Yeah.
And it did ultimately. I mean, give Liverpool credit. I think they've signed a fantastic player in Thiago, and I think he's been a bit of a missing key for Liverpool, because they find it hard to sort of break down teams who do sort of sit back and have the banks of two and things like that. So it was an absolute fantastic ball from Thiago. No real ifs or buts about it. It was absolutely brilliant. So I think when it does get played to him, and then, man, was it Godfrey next to him? I think it was Godfrey when he was next to him, Mane, and I thought he could have done better just jockeying him away. And I thought there was a lot. He was allowed to turn, and once you let the Mane like that play, there's only one outcome, and he's going to try and do something, and he did ultimately. And listen, Jordan Henderson's one of them players who you just don't
Like,
I just can't do you? Especially as an Everton fan, he's everything mixed up into one, and that he grinds your gears a bit. But listen, I thought he had a very good game, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah. Fair.
But he just gets a foot on it, doesn't he? And Pickford, I don't even know how it's possible to even the ball to be spinning to the right hand side of the post
and going,
him to put his hand on, and then it goes into the left hand side. I've just never seen anything like it. It was nuts. And listen, people are moaning about offside, and you've got Keown saying I can't believe my eyes and all that. Well, at the end of the day, I agree with the offside rule, and I agree with the penalty, the handball rule. It's clear as day. It's not hard. If any part of the body or any part of the body that can score is offside, it's offside.
Yeah.
Even if it's a mil, it doesn't matter. That's the rule. And listen, Everton will be on the end of that. Everyone will. Yeah. It's just unfortunate that for Liverpool fans that it's in the 90th minute
of a Merseyside
derby, and you think you're being hard done by, but that's what VAR's there for.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. And listen, when it did happen, you're thinking, oh, no way is this offside. They've won it and they go away with the 3 points, but he was offside. So I don't, the argument that you should be having is the rule.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with the technology. The technology works. It's there. The issue is the rule, and the rule that you can sort of be off by like a toe is, you can probably both. It's utter nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is.
It is. I mean, the whole giving advantage to attackers is gone. So, but how do you then now determine what is offside or what isn't? Like, if you're leaning your body, is that offside, or but your feet are on? So it's hard, isn't it? So the easiest thing to do and to help referees out is to just say, no matter what, any part of it is, it's black and white. And unfortunately, that it's going to happen through the year. Listen, we'll probably be on this channel in a few weeks' time, so I'm fuming about it.
Definitely.
But well, that's just the way it is.
That's the irony of the situation, isn't it? It's very difficult. And when I was writing the notes before for the live stream, when I was thinking about it today, I knew it was going to be very difficult to talk about this because I'm absolutely made up that this went against Liverpool. Not only because I'm an Evertonian and it means that we get a point, but also because so many of them the decisions have gone for Liverpool in the past. So it's difficult for me to sit here and talk about it because in the last minute of a Merseyside derby, Everton managed to take a point out of a game because Mane was offside by his armpit hair, which is just, if this was flipped, if you'd have read in the comments, and I know there's reds because I can see them flying in, and I've checked and there's already about 4 dislikes, so I know there's reds. If you're a red and this was flipped and Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores that goal and Richarlison's off, well, not Richarlison, he was sent off, James Rodriguez is offside by a fingernail, are you sitting there going, well, the offside rule's disgusting, really? No, you're not. You're absolutely made up. I agree with Tom. A lot of people have issues with the offside rule and the handball rule. I don't, because I don't trust referees and officials to be able to make consistent decisions week in, week out and say, this is the benefit of the doubt, or this is how it should be. So for me, it should be black and white. If you're offside, you're offside. If you're onside, you're onside. If you're handball it, you're handball it. It needs to be like that because referees have proven. The reason VAR is in place is because referees have proven over the years they cannot be trusted to make those decisions consistently. Now, he was offside because of his shoulder. Is it harsh? Obviously. Am I made up? Obviously. If roles were reversed, would it be fuming? Yeah. Like Tom said, I believe quite comfortably and confidently that this will go against Everton at some point in this season, in the same vein as the handball rule will go against Everton. And like Tom said, after that game, in whichever game it is, we'll be sitting here on the day and day after, and it'll probably be the derby at Anfield now, but we'll be sitting here on the day after saying it's disgraceful, it's this, it's that. Football is a sport where you contradict yourself constantly. We all sit here week in, week out, and 1 minute we say one thing and the next minute we say another, because if it goes against your team, you're fuming. If it goes for your team, you're made up. And too many of those decisions have gone for Liverpool and against Everton in the past. Now it's flipped, roles reversed. I was shocked. When I seen it was given offside, I was shocked. And I remember thinking, I honestly, because the picture they saw, you couldn't see it. Now, I've seen the picture since where he is offside. It's minimal, but he's offside ultimately, and that's the rule, and that's it. And it's very difficult to say anything other than that, isn't it, mate? Because it's black and white, it's there, he's offside.
It's just, I don't think there's no arguments. I just, all it is because it's the last game, pretty much in the 90th odd minute, and it's in a Merseyside derby. That's it. I mean, you've got the media that have got so short-term memory that were advocating for VAR.
Yeah,
they were advocating for it.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about VAR 8 years ago with the World Cup when Lampard scored.
Yeah.
It all caused from that. Everyone was all for it. Now all of a sudden that these decisions aren't going certain clubs' way. Now it's like, oh no, that it's a disgrace. It doesn't. How can people like pundits turn on and say to us as fans the technology doesn't work?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I didn't know they had degrees in computer science or things like that. It's utter nonsense what they come out with. And all it is just to make headlines. And at the end of the day, if you've got an issue with VAR, then you're an idiot. Yeah. You're an absolute idiot. You're a fool. Because the technology works, point blank. That's it. Yeah. There's no, you can't argue with that. Yeah. Until they come out and say, or someone comes out with absolute solid evidence that it does not work, then that's fair enough. But going on to the rule, you've got an issue with the rule. Yeah. That's the issue. But it's how we go up. How about the FA or the UEFA or whoever's going to do it? How do they then start now determining what is offside? Yeah,
exactly.
How can you determine that?
That's it. Well,
all you've got to do is just go, any part of the body is offside, and just deal with it. Unfortunately, it's against Liverpool. You know, the world doesn't end just because Liverpool got a decision against them. It is what it is. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Welcome to our world, for a start.
Well, that's it. And listen, they were probably a little bit upset from the week before getting beat 7-2. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there was no complaints there about all the goals. So listen, ultimately, it is what it is.
He was deemed offside. Yeah, spot on. Ultimately, he was deemed offside because a part of the body in which he could score with was offside. Now, there's another argument is that if Mane scores with his up here with his shoulder and I think it's not a handball if it touches your shirt. I think that's the actual rule. So that rule agrees with the rule of offside, whereas that if your shirt is offside, your elbow, then you're offside because you can score with that part of your body, which makes sense. Again, like you mentioned, it's gone against Liverpool. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for Everton, it will go against a lot of teams this season, and we'll be sitting here talking about it a lot more probably. But welcome to our world of being done over by referees in the final minute, of being told that this is the decision and that's why it's the decision. This happens consistently for a lot of football clubs. Doesn't happen consistently for you, and that's why you're shocked by it, but it happens consistently for a lot of football clubs. I agree, the rule's the rule. It's black and white. It should be black and white because as soon as you let it down to interpretation, that's when certain teams start getting decisions and other teams don't. And we still see that now with the rules as black and white. Sort of handball, Dele Alli caught the ball at Goodison last season and it wasn't given a penalty. Michael Keane accidentally stood on a Brighton player's toe and it was given a penalty. So there's still issues with it, but the rules are the rules, and if you've got an issue with them, then you go to the rule book. Look, before we finish, I want to talk about a couple of individual performances, then we'll sum it up, and we'll let it settle this Merseyside derby, and we can put it in the back of our minds. Ben Godfrey, Tom, come in to replace Seamus Coleman. Not only was he coming in and playing in an unnatural position, he was coming in and making his Premier League debut for Everton Football Club in a Merseyside derby, in a game where we were struggling, let's be perfectly honest. At a time we were struggling. What did you make of his overall performance? Just for me, I thought he was spot on. A couple of certain situations where his positioning needs work on, but I thought when he had the ball, he done well with it. He absolutely bulldozed his way through a couple of times and ended up on the edge of their box. And overall, he played quite well for me. What did you think about Ben?
Yeah, well, we mentioned it the other week, didn't we, in the preview thing, that we thought could he get thrown in, and he did, didn't he? He got thrown in, and I thought he done very well. I mean, you're coming into a Merseyside derby, and you're meant to just be thrown straight to the wolves, haven't you? So I thought he was thinking himself very well. So, listen, he's not a right back.
Yeah.
Let's just get that clear. But he showed what he will bring to that centre half position, bringing it out be able to break through lines, and this is what we want. We want our centre half going through the lines, causing trouble, creating space for others. Because ultimately, when he does that, someone is going to have to come pressure him and leave someone available. So. It was very promising.
Yeah.
It was very promising. Listen, it could be. I think he might start, mightn't he, next week at right back.
Yeah,
probably will, won't he? So
out, yeah.
He's gonna be up against quick wingers against Southampton. So it's gonna be another big task for him. But I have the fullest confidence in him.
Yeah, spot on. I thought he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Considering he was coming in an unnatural position, like you said, against an attacker who was on top flying form, Mane, controlling the game at that point. He done really, really well. We'll get into a couple of comments then, and then I want to talk about Michael Keane and Gomez, because I know we've got a bit of opinion on that, and then we'll finish it up. We'll box it off. Tashi says, love your channel, mate. Keep up the good work. Die-hard Everton fan from Switzerland. Probably the only one up to visit Goodison next season. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. There's a lot of discussion about the offside and the VAR in the comments. Look, we've given our opinion, so I don't think there's much point is in going in and giving it again, because we've already spoken about it. Jason says, Keown surprised me that he was a former Blue. You wouldn't have thought so. Someone called Joe Gomez actually has quoted on the stream and asked, do I think Pickford should be banned? No. Wayne says, Kama couldn't agree more. Barry says, Robertson's malicious studs up tackle on the ball and Allen not seen by the ref. Should he be banned? Well, that's it. Barry also says, upper arm offside, that's the way it is. Wanted the more scientific measurement. Well, that is it. I don't like the new offside rule, but I liked it Saturday. Well, again, it will go against us. It will go for us. A lot of comments about the Richarlison challenge. Listen, I think we all know it wasn't a good challenge by Richarlison, but it was a dirty game of football, and ultimately he's made a rash, poor decision. Tom says, Cam, take a look at the tackles Souness used to make in his career. Jaw snapping antics. Souness seems to think we have forgotten his stunts. All the Blues knew what he was talking about. Well, he tried to hide his tackles by saying it was a different era. And that in some way meant it was acceptable.
What does that mean?
Exactly. Well, that's what he said. Didn't he, to Carragher? He said, "Oh well, I was in a different era."
What does that mean? It's just a silly comment from an old man.
That's it.
Who's gone at the game. Whatever he's done in the thing. There's people on Twitter that have far more got a better opinion than him. What he can give. So It is what it is. Listen. In the end, he'll be on the heat pile with the four fellas from Soccer Saturday. Yeah,
well, I agree, and there's another good comment from Tashi who says, what do you think of Souness's comment on it being an assault? Not only is that completely contradictory by Graham Souness because of everything he's done in his career, but I also think he should be in massive, massive trouble for that. That is, again, coming out and trying to say, I know his intention.
Defamation of character.
Which is, I think, is a illegal offence.
Yeah, of course. That's why I tweeted out to that Julian Laurent saying that he was like, did you see that clip about it?
Yeah, I've seen him, yeah. I like the other fella. The other fella put him in his place. I don't know his name, yeah.
Listen, Gabriel Marcotti, I think his name is. But no, listen, fair play to at least one journalist coming out and saying, I'm trying to just bury that nonsense. And he come out and his words were around about where he was going, don't give me the nonsense that he didn't intend to do it. What do you mean by that then? So you're telling me that he's gone in to go end his career, have he?
Yeah.
So does he know him personally, that he knows that he's gone in to hurt him? Because by my definition, that is defamation of character. And that, listen, me personally, if I was Jordan Pickford, I'd be going to lawyers and everything, trying to get him done for all things like this. Because once one person does it, then that's like Chinese whispers. Then you start getting a reputation with it. And for me personally, and for if someone was saying that about me, I would argue to the high hilt about that to see for what people are saying, especially journalists who should be non-biased, by the way, and should give a neutral opinion.
Spot on, and that's why I had a lot of time for Jamie Carragher coming out after it. Listen, Jamie Carragher's Obviously, they all grown up as an Everton fan, but he's not hid his Liverpool bias before in terms of celebrating the league and all of that. But he come out and he put a line under it and he said, look, it's a bad challenge, that's what it is in terms of the Pickford situation. And he put Souness in his place. And even then, Souness tried to argue it. And there's, like you mentioned, there's only been a couple of journalists who have come out and said, utter bollocks. Everyone else seems to be running with the same story.
Did you see, I think it was John Cross from the Daily Mail, was it?
I didn't see it.
I'm not too sure, but he was trying to make out like it was like Roy Keane's tackle. Go have a look at that.
I'll have a look.
He sort of made a piece out and he's tried to justify. I can't remember the fella's name, but I think he played for City back in the day, past my time, but it was a horrendous challenge. And Keane has later on come out and said, no, I did go out to do him.
Yeah.
So now you're putting Pickford in the same category as that.
As someone who's admitted to it.
Yeah, it's such a disgrace and it's criminal what they're getting away with. This is why I want the club to come out and sort of back him.
Yeah.
Forget the challenge. Just come out and say we don't condone the challenge, but to start attacking his character is utter nonsense.
Yeah. Exactly, that's it. No one's sitting here and saying it was a good challenge or he was not at fault. Of course he was at fault, it was reckless, it was poor, it was silly. He's injured a player that, again, you don't go into football matches open to injure players, no matter how fierce a derby is. It's ridiculous, and ultimately it's a witch hunt by the media, and these are the people that should be there to be neutral and should be there to calm these situations down. Certainly when you've got impressionable people on social media who can hide behind a picture of Roberto Firmino or Mo Salah or Dave from down the pub and say, I'm going to go out and burn his house down, and they hide behind that. And the police are already investigating tweets towards Pickford and Richarlison, and rightly so, and hopefully there's something done about that. Before we finish then, Michael Keane and Andre Gomez, two players I want to talk about. We're going to Michael Keane first. Exceptional again, really, really good performance. Yeah. Another one he's put in this season, considering he's the only Everton player to have played 90 minutes in every game, including the Carabao Cup fixtures. He hasn't dropped his performance once, has he, mate? He's been astonishing. Yeah,
he's been fantastic. There's been a real shift in mentality with Michael Keane, hasn't it? And he's just oozing this confidence. He's even playing balls over the top and everything, which he'd never do. And listen, in hindsight, you look at Michael Keane's sort of move to us, and he basically come from a team where he weren't basically given the sort of like attitude to sort of like role to go break down teams with his passing. He come to from Burnley, and he's come to Everton, and he sort of had an adjustment period, anyway. He did show in some circumstances that he is a very good defender, but in all other things, once he made that mistake, his head just went down and he just totally lost it, didn't he?
You talk about players as well, sorry to interrupt, you talk about players suffering with mental health and the Pickford situation. Michael Keane come out and said, I suffered massively from mental health issues, I was playing through an injury.
Yeah, well, exactly. You've had Bernard as well, haven't you, come out and say the same thing? So, listen, he's been terrific. He's been fantastic. And listen, he should be in the England team, whether you want to argue that or not. He should be starting every game, in my opinion, for what he's done so far this season. And long may it continue. And hopefully Mina can sort of get his game sorted, because I think he's going up and down this season, hasn't he?
A lot of
he has one good game, one good game, one bad game, and things like that. But hopefully Holgate can come back. I mean, listen, we've got Holgate to come back into its side. We were winning. And he was probably our best defender last year.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. And Branthwaite, who obviously come in towards the back end of last season and done well. So there's options, isn't he? And Godfrey, of course, who's a natural centre half.
We're quite overloaded in that area now, aren't we? Where at one point we were panicking whether we would get anyone on the pitch, but no, I think we're strong there, and probably right back's probably the issue now, isn't it? Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know if anything's come out about Coleman just yet, but at 32, having to really, hopefully it hasn't gone seriously bad with his hamstring, but. Yeah. It's a lot harder when you're 32 getting hamstrings than when you're 21 and things like that. There's a lot more to go through, isn't there? So hopefully, fingers crossed. And listen, you've got to put faith now in Kenny, haven't you? When he comes back, we've just got to. Yeah. We can't get on his back. If he's got to just go and perform now and show Carlo Ancelotti what he's all about.
Spot on. Before we finish up then, Andre Gomez, another poor performance. Probably about time Gylfi comes in and gets his chance now. Again, maybe a little bit of a Pickford sort of situation. Take Gomez out and just say, look, you're going to sit off for a couple of weeks and we're just going to refresh it a little bit. Wasn't great, was he?
He's one of them for me. He's since last season I've started paying a lot more attention to him, because I thought to myself, what does he bring to the team? And no one can give me a straight answer. Everyone goes and says he's a very good player and he's played for Barca. He was, this one season he had at Valencia, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, that player hasn't been there for 3 or 4 years now, so I don't know what we're waiting for. His whole role and purpose in the team is to advance and help Dominic Calvert-Lewin and our attacking player. He's not there to defend, basically, and he isn't to some certain points, but I thought Jordan Henderson gave him the absolute runaround the weekend.
Yeah.
Thought he just couldn't get near him.
Yeah.
He looked flat-footed. He couldn't break out. He can't carry us up the pitch. His passing was horrendous. I don't think he completed any passes from off the top of my head. I'd have to actually see that. Yeah. His whole thing that we've got about him is that he's this brilliant forward passer and he can pick a pass out. He doesn't even attempt it no more. Yeah. I don't think he's ever. He sort of shies away and turns back, and I think he's the weakest link in that team. Plus Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I keep saying Jordan Henderson. Getting confused with the pair of them. He's with Pickford. They're the two main ones, and I was watching him more on his own and is trying to critique what he does. He drops back into defence on the back line far too much, in my opinion. Yeah. He's out of position, and when you watch him more, Richarlison's looking for a pass and he can't create space. He just can't do it. Yeah. And you sort of think now, well, the way Rodriguez is and the way he can find space, and I know he's good coming in, shifting in, but if you can sort of put him inside with who can play a little bit further up and just sort of give Decore and Allen the defensive work that they will ultimately need to give, and try and probably bring either a Wolby, Bernard, probably even Gordon. Listen, Gordon's there and hasn't even got a mention yet, has he? So I think there's players there to give us more of a, like, I know probably people will jump on the Iwobi thing, but he'll probably give us legs to just give us that extra help in defensive work, because let's have it right, it's a massive issue when James doesn't get back, and it creates overloads on that right hand side against Coleman or anyone who's going to be playing there. But back to Gomez, I think it's time to take him out. I think I've lost all faith in him. I don't think I've ever had faith in him, to be honest with you, because I think he's only scored 1 goal in 2 years.
That's it. No.
I mean, you're saying Sigurdsson. I was thinking Sigurdsson the weekend, but I don't know with Sigurdsson. He's slow and he's pretty much similar, but he's
similar,
probably,
to be honest, probably better than the ball.
But he can score. Yeah, that's the difference. But maybe bring a Wolby in.
Yeah.
He's just a ball carrier, isn't he? Yeah, and that's what I think Everton needs.
There's obviously a space in the team now with Richarlison being suspended as well for 3 games, so Iwobi might come in there, or Bernard or Gordon. So there's room for Carlo to change it, and I think he might change it come the Southampton game just to freshen it up a little bit, and just to so Southampton aren't expecting what we're to bring. But yeah, look, we'll box it off there then. It's been a long one, but a lot happened. Probably the most action-packed Merseyside derby since I can remember anyway, for a very, very long time. Big thanks to everybody for watching. I know there's been a lot of discussion in the live comments. Sorry we couldn't get into it. There's probably been more live comments in this stream than any of the last bloody 10 put together. There's just been flying in left, right and centre. A big thanks to everybody for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Look, there's been a lot of Reds in today, a lot of Reds disliking. Nice one. I hope you enjoyed the VAR decision in the last second. And listen, welcome to our world. Welcome to our world of awful tackles and players not getting anything done to them, of VAR decisions going against them, of getting cheated out of Merseyside derbies. Welcome to our world. It's not a great world, but you know, you're welcomed in. It's gone for us for once. And, you know, again, like I said, you can't not be happy. Big thanks to Tom for joining us today. Really do appreciate that, mate. I'm sure Tom will be back within the next week or so to discuss more about Everton. Anything to say before we finish up?
No, I was just think let's move on. Let them do what they're doing now and do the petitions, and I'll even sign one if they want to send it in, because it'll be an absolute waste of time, won't it? But every little helps for them. And listen, I hope they get the justice that they really want. Hopefully, Pickford gets put on trial in High Court and he gets 9 months prison sentence and things like that. I hope it all happens for them. But at the end of the day, as a football club, we just move on. And listen, at the end of the day, you can only say one thing: top of the league. So
unbeaten, top of the league. That's it. Big thanks for watching. Massive thanks to Tom, like we mentioned. Really do appreciate all of the support. That's it. It was a mad one, but we're still top of the league. We're still unbeaten, and we move on to Southampton now. Another 3 points, and everything is all smooth and gravy. Big thanks for watching. We will be live on Wednesday, 5:15, for another stream, so don't forget to join us then. Cheers, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.